Hello and welcome to episode number 60 of the Giddy Knits Podcast. As always, I am Helen and I am coming to you from Dundee in Scotland, where I live with my husband Tom and my two boys, Arthur, who is 6, and Jasper, who is 3. Welcome back to all the lovely viewers that come and watch me every week. Thank you so much for checking out the podcast, as always. And to anyone that's new, I hope you enjoy the podcast. Thank you for coming and giving it a go. If you don't know, I am the dyer behind Giddy Yarns, and I am dreadful at podcast introductions. So let's just get straight into everything. What have I got to say first? Where you can find me. You can find me on Instagram as either Giddy Yarns or Giddy Helen. I do share a lot more over on my Giddy Yarns account though. I've been very quiet on my Giddy Helen account because I just keep forgetting. And you can find my yarn on my website, which is www.giddyyarns.com. Right, what have I got for you this week? That's probably the best place to start. I have got a little bit of announcements, just a little chat about some of the knit-alongs that we've got running. I've got a couple of works in progress to share with you. I've got a couple of new cast-ons to share with you. I'm going to share a little bit of blanket progress this week, because I know some of you missed that last week. I haven't got any yarny goodness to share this week, but I will touch on a bit of shop news at the end of the episode. So let's get straight into the announcements, shall we? Knit-alongs. We've got 2 knit-alongs running currently. The first one is the Giddy Yarns knit-along, which is an ongoing knit-along. And as long as your project contains at least 50% of my yarn, of Giddy Yarns, then you're welcome to enter it in there, and I will be drawing quarterly prizes. The next prize draw will be at the end of June. And by knit-along, I don't just mean knitting. It's a make-along, really. I should start calling them make-alongs, shouldn't I? If you're knitting or crocheting or even weaving with my yarn, then it counts. I would say sewing, but you can't really sew with my yarn. If you can, then by all means. As long as it contains 50% of my yarn, then it counts. I guess if you wove some fabric and then sewed something out of the fabric that you had woven with my yarn, that would count. Yeah, why not? Anyway, the other knit-along that is currently running is the 20th century history knit-along, make-along, whatever you want to call it. And that will be closing at the end of May. So get your finished projects into the finished object thread. All the details for the threads can be found in the Ravelry Group, which I will link down below the video. And the 20th century history make-along is any project that you can link back to 20th century history. So anything from the 1900s, whether it's inspired by a film, whether it's a pattern inspired by a book, whether it's yarn that you bought in the 1980s, anything like that, and it counts. Right, so that's all the knit-along stuff. What else? Vlogs. I was just going to re-mention that my May vlog series is currently running on my channel. You may have noticed daily videos popping up. It's been really enjoyable. I'm getting to the stage of the month where I'm starting to lack a little bit of inspiration to find things to show you. So I really need to sit down and have a little think about what I'm going to share with you over the last week of May. If you've got anything you'd like to see, then by all means drop a comment down below and I will see what I can do. But they're very much keeping me company and a lot of fun. And a big thank you to everyone that's watching them and for everyone that's commenting. Your comments are lovely. So thank you very much. What else? That's it for announcements. Let's move on to some works in progress. I feel like I've not made a lot of progress this week. I feel like I've barely knit this week. It's been a really busy week. I've been working alongside of obviously all the stuff that's going on at the moment with homeschooling the boys and just managing life in lockdown really. So I don't feel like I've got a lot of knitting done, but we will see what I've got to show you. I can't remember now. Oh yeah, okay, we'll start with something that's had very little progress on, but I am desperate to knit more on, and that is my Vertices Unite. Living in this lovely little grey girl bag, and this is the extent of the progress I've made. I've made a little bit of progress since we last talked, since I last showed you. I think I was probably only about there. And it's daft because the rows are so short. I really should be making a lot more progress on this, but I'm just not finding the time at the moment. And by the time the evenings come round, I'm really tired and I just want to sit on the sofa and not think about anything. So yeah, it needs some more love. The colours I'm using at the moment are this one here, which is Suburban Stitcher. I think it was Jelly of the Month. And this one here, which is Down Sheepy Lane. And this is her Bramble colourway. So this will get some progress this week. I am determined to make some significant progress on this. And this is me, looks like a little beard. This is me checking in and saying, next week you will see more progress on this. Fingers crossed. The other thing that, oh, did I mention the pattern? My Vertices Unite pattern is by Stephen West. The other thing that I have been making rather a good amount of progress on is my sock nest socks, which are living in another Little Grey Girl project bag. I have finished the foot of the first one. So this one is ready for a toe. And this is the pattern. Let's put it on here so you can see it. You'll have seen these because I've been knitting on these for weeks. This is the sock nest pattern. It's just got this lovely simple cable and lace section down the side of the foot and down the side of the leg, and then it's just plain stocking stitch on the back. I did a short row heel. I can't remember what the pattern calls for, but I just substituted my favourite heel, so I just did a German short row heel. And yeah, as I said, this is ready for the toe. And then the second one, I'm about halfway, trying to pop this back in neatly. I'm about halfway down the foot with the second one. So it's making slower progress. I just need some time. If I actually sat down, see with this one, I found a day, I think at the weekend, and I just sat down and it was all I knit on for a day or so. And I made some really good progress, but every time I pick it up, I get about 2 or 3 rounds done and then something or somebody distracts me. But yeah, it's making progress slowly. And the yarn, as you'll all know by now, is Bergère de France in the Gumi 50 colourway. So it's a commercial sock yarn, which is 75% wool and 25% polyamide, I believe. Yep, 75% virgin wool, 25% polyamide, which is kind of a nylon really. So yeah, making progress. These will be finished for next week's episode. I am stating that now. What else do I have to share with you? A couple of new cast-ons. Let me just pop these back in here. I didn't pop that one very well, did I? There we go. Yeah, so amidst all of this not getting much work done on any project, I've still managed to cast on a couple of new things. One of them is not a massive thing though. So I wanted to make some smaller little cloths. So I used the Grandma's dishcloth pattern, and I've made some the size that the pattern calls for, which we use in the shower all the time. We use them as kind of flannels basically. But I wanted to make some slightly smaller ones that I could use just as kind of face cloths, just for washing my face. So I finished one, and I was using up these colours, which is why there's a really long end there, because that was how much yarn I had left from the turquoise. And talk about yarn chicken, that's how much yarn I had left from the purple. But I managed to get a little face cloth out of that. And I'm going to make a few more of these. I think I did it so that you got to 25 stitches in the centre, and then I started decreasing rather than the 45 that the pattern calls for. And I appreciate it's not a central, I've not changed the colours in the middle. I've literally, as I said, using up some scraps for this one. And I have started a second one, if I can find it. I haven't got very far, as you can see, but I have started a second one. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. There we go. I have started a second one, and I'm just using some of this blue cotton. The cotton I'm using is the Women's Institute stuff, except it's molting everywhere. It's the Women's Institute stuff from Hobbycraft, so it's this one here. Women's Institute home cotton, and it's kind of an Aran weight. Well, it says it's an Aran weight. I'm not sure whether it's an Aran or a DK really, but it says it's an Aran weight, and it's 100%. Oh, it's not 100% cotton. I thought they were 100% cotton. This one says it's 85% cotton, 15% polyester. Don't know why I thought they were 100% cotton. Oh well, they're fine. I use them all the time in the shower. But anyway, I'm using up those ones. I've got that one, and I've also got a pink one. I don't know whether I'll start that one or if I'll just put that one aside for a little bit. And then I'm also going to make some with some of these leftovers as well. These ones are sugar and cream. I think I got these at Wool Warehouse. They are sugar and cream. That one there. And these are 100% cotton. And I've got a couple of fun colours there. Although I will say that rainbow one, the first time I used the flannel that I made from the rainbow one, it let off so much dye. So it might be worth soaking these once you finish knitting them. Yeah, it let off so much colour in the shower. It was a bit ridiculous. So they probably need a bit of a soak. This one was fine, but the rainbow one, definitely a lot of blue came out of it. Anyway, I'm hoping to just find some time. They're quite quick. I mean, they don't take too long to do. So I just need, again, some time to sit down and get on with some of those. I'm planning to make about 7. And then I've got bits of cotton fluff everywhere now. And then I've got one, I can kind of use one for each day of the week, and they'll be able to have time to get in the wash and get back to me without me having days where I don't have any clean ones. That's the plan anyway. And then if I get on with them, I might even, maybe, try and make some for gifts. What else is a new cast on? I started a new blanket. If you've watched my vlogs, you will have seen some of this. I've been itching to start this blanket for absolutely ages, and I finally just gave in to the temptation. I am calling it my Mild Mayhem blanket, and the plan is that what I am doing is I have got 2 magic knot balls. So these are made up of kind of the scraps of the scraps. So when I've finished with a mini and it's gone into multiple scrappy projects, and I've got kind of, I don't know, less than 5 grams left, they go in here. Or if it's kind of a commercial yarn that I'm not necessarily going to put into my Cozy Memories blanket or something like that, then again, they go in here. So the colours in here are completely random. There is a real mix of kind of sock yarns and commercial yarns, and yeah, all kinds of bits and pieces in these balls. I've got these 2, and then I think I've got another 2 downstairs. One might not quite be finished, but it's very, very close to being finished. And the plan is that I am holding them together to create marled granny squares. So this is the first one. And I don't know if you can see, let's see if my camera will pick this up. But yeah, I've just held the 2 strands together to create this kind of fun marled effect. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create lots and lots of these. Am I showing you the front? No, I'm showing you the right side. Obviously I've woven my end in a bit dodgy. I can kind of see it on the camera where I've woven my end in. That'll be fine. Anyway, distracting myself. What was I going to say? I am going to make a load of these. I think I've done 11 rounds. I just did it to a size I liked the size of, and then I'm just going to join them. So I've started on the second one as well. So this is the second one. This one's coming out a lot more kind of primary colours. Just dropped one of the balls. This one's coming out a lot more primary colours, but it's really, really fun. And then all I'm going to do is just crochet them together so that I'll have a big blanket of marled granny squares. And I just think it's going to be super fun and super colourful, and a really good use of all those teeny tiny little scraps. Yeah, a good use of all those teeny tiny little scraps. And when I come to a knot or a join, what I'm doing is I'm just kind of holding it. I'm obviously already holding it double, but I'm then holding the end where the knot's been made, I'm holding that end triple, I guess, and crocheting it in, and then I'm cutting off any excess. So hopefully, I mean, not only hopefully the magic knots will hold, but if the magic knots are a little bit dodgy, then hopefully the fact that I've crocheted the end into the work as well will give it a little bit more strength. But we'll see. I can always sew it up if there's any issues. But yeah, that is the plan. I decided to go with squares like this and then sew them together, because my initial thought was that I'd just make a giant granny square blanket. But I know what I'm like, and I really struggled with my granny striped blanket because the rows were so long, and I gave up early, and it's now just a little ladder blanket. So I knew that if I got to the stage where the rows were really, really long, I wouldn't want to do it anymore, and I'd get frustrated with it. So I thought this kind of stops that from happening. So if I can just make kind of multiple ones of these and join them together as I go along, it should see more progress. But yeah, it's really addictive and it's really good fun. So yeah, and I really like that mild effect. So that is my exciting new blanket cast on. Let me rescue the ball. Oh, I can't rescue the ball. It's now caught around my studio light wire. There we go. Yeah, so that's my other cast on, and I'm really enjoying it. As you can see by how much I've kind of done in the last week. What else was I going to share with you? Some blanket progress. I didn't share blanket progress last week because I didn't feel like I'd made much progress. I still haven't made much progress, but I thought I would share it with you anyway, kind of as a little bit of a reset, because then I can take all the stitch markers off and I can focus a little bit more on, I don't know, knitting it. And then I will kind of, I think by taking all the stitch markers off, it gives me more inspiration to carry on, because I can then see again my progress by adding all the stitch markers. I think that's what I'm trying to say. It's all tangled up. So yeah, here it is. It's coming along still. I have finished off that corner with those two squares added in there. What are these yarns? I don't actually know. I think that was just a mini skein. I'm not 100% sure what that is. As in, I think that was just something I got in a mini skein swap and I don't know what it is. That one is Grandma's Garden from Down Sheepy Lane. That was left over from my So Faded jumper. Then what else have I done? I've got a couple here that finished off this row. That one was just a mini skein from a swap. That one is one of mine. That's Sea of Adventure. And this one, I'm not 100% sure whether that's a mini skein from a swap or if that is the other colour I used. Oh, I know, I've forgotten the name of it. One of the other Down Sheepy Lane ones I used in my So Faded sweater. Possibly. I'm not sure. And then these ones up here. So this is the row that I'm currently working on. I've picked up the stitches for the next square, but I've not carried along. This one is just a random mini skein I received in a swap. That was one of my Flower Fairies colourways. That was the Primrose Fairy. That was a random mini skein from a swap. This is one of my colourways, Mistral. That was a random colourway, and that is leftovers from a colourway Tom bought me. Well, the boys technically should have bought me, but they were too young. But Tom got as a Mother's Day gift, and it was a Lollipop Guild Yarns one called Mums Are Like Dads But Smarter. So yeah, it's getting there, growing. I think I've got 114 squares at the moment, and if I want to reach the 182 deadline by the end of, is it the end of June? Yeah, it must be, because it's quarterly, so it'll be the same as my Giddy Yarns cow. I've got a bit of work to do, haven't I? But I don't know whether I'll make this checkpoint or not. We'll see. Hopefully, if I get a bit more time to knit, then maybe. But yeah, that's my blanket progress. I've been really enjoying blankets at the moment. I don't know what it is that's kind of really inspiring me with blankets. I think if you've been watching my vlogs, you'll know right at the beginning of the month, I went through all the mini skeins and all the scraps and everything like that I've got. And in fact, I didn't even go through all of them because I keep discovering them in different places that I'd forgotten to share. So I have got an absolute abundance of scraps and mini skeins and things like that, that are planned and destined to go into blankets and things. And I think it's just got a little bit to the stage where the amount I've got is completely overwhelming. So I kind of want to get all these blanket projects done so that I can use some of these scraps. Anyway, what else? I've got no yarny goodness this week, but I was going to talk to you a little bit about shop news. So that's kind of all the knitting content for the podcast done. And I was going to talk a little bit about what's coming in the shop. So the next shop update will be on Saturday the 30th of May. Yes, I think that's right. And it's just going to be a little restock of some of the Cornwall collection. So I will have more of the mini skeins from the Cornwall collection. I have managed to replicate them, and they are all dyed up, ready to go. I just need to skein them all up. So I will have more mini skein bundles. I've also been dyeing up some more Kynance as well, because that was really, really popular. So I'll have some more of that. I'm hoping as well maybe to get another lot of scrappy boxes in to the shop as well, because they've been really popular and they're really fun to dye. So that is the plan, but it won't be a massive shop update because I'm currently dyeing the Nostalgia Club, so I haven't got time to dye lots of stuff for the shop as well. But yeah, 30th of May will be the next shop update. And then 2 weeks after that is the WoolMonty. Now, I can't remember if I mentioned last week or not, but the WoolMonty have made the decision to postpone their event until talk properly, Helen. Have made the decision to postpone their in-person event to 2021, but they are planning an online event of some kind. I still don't know 100% how it's going to work, but on the weekend of the WoolMonty, so the 13th and 14th of June, there will be a virtual kind of online event held. So I am dyeing for that. I'm planning a shop update. I'm planning to relaunch my bedtime stories collection. I'm going to dye up some more of that. I'm going to dye some of those up on different bases. I'm also going to make up some mini bundles from my bedtime stories collection. I'm going to bring back some of the Winnie the Pooh minis again and things like that. I will also have the Cornwall collection back in stock as well properly for the WoolMonty. Yeah, that's kind of the plan, I think, for the WoolMonty. I won't have any stripes. Again, if you've been watching my vlogs, you'll know this, but I've had to make the decision that stripes just aren't going to happen for at least this half of the year. I don't have the time. With the children around, it's not something I can do with the kids around. I can manage to dye other yarn with the kids around because it's in the kitchen, it's on the hob, I can just put the dye in, I can leave it and come back to the kids, and then when the alarm goes off I can just go back to the yarn. So it works manageable, you know, it's doable. But the stripes are so full on. I mean, I have to warp them first and that takes time, and if I get distracted by the kids while I'm doing it, I'm likely to get the numbers wrong and I'm going to end up with wonky stripes. The actual dyeing process is a much more involved process. I have to be at the kitchen, at the hob with it the whole time it's dyeing. Yeah, I can't leave it. And then after that, I've still got to wind it up, which again is not something I can really do around the children. I need to be kind of away from them. So unfortunately, at least until the kids go back to school, which for us in Scotland looks like it's going to be August, and even then part-time, I'm not going to be able to get stripes done. So I have made that decision. Hopefully by the time Perth comes around in September and Glasgow comes around in October, that will be a bit more achievable and I'll be able to get some stripes for those events. But for the moment and for the WoolMonty, I'm afraid there will be no stripes, but there will be lots and lots of minis. What else? Because I'm now looking at my time and thinking, gosh, I've been talking for longer than I usually do. What else? Advent calendar. That was the other thing I wanted to talk about. My advent calendar for 2020 will be launching on the 1st of June. And this year the theme is Christmas, a History. We're going to take a journey back in time. We're going to investigate and explore kind of the history of Christmas going right back. So it's not just going to be the 20th century. We're going to go back and look at kind of Tudor times and how did they celebrate Christmas in Tudor times, Edwardian, You know, even go really far back. We'll go medieval and kind of look at the history of Christmas, and, you know, even look at some of those traditions and where those traditions developed from. Yeah, that's the plan anyway. We'll look at that. I think that would be really fun. I think it would be really fun to kind of look at the history of Christmas and explore the history of Christmas. The actual Advent itself won't be laid out chronologically. It will be laid out in colour so that the colour sequence works together. So, because I think it would be a bit of a challenge to get the colour sequence to work together and the dates to work together chronologically. That would be a bit too much of a challenge for me. So it will be in a colour sequence. So it's not going to be a pure fade like it was last year, but it will be designed so that the colours will flow from one to the next. So you could put them all in a project together and they would work well. At least that's the plan, fingers crossed. And yeah, I am also planning this year to have a payment plan option. I need to just double check. I've chatted through it with my lovely friend Jem, who is the maker behind Little Grey Girls, but she's also the owner of Gem & Co. And she's an amazing resource for anyone that needs help with websites and organising Shopify and stuff like that. But I had a really good chat with her the other week, and she kind of taught me through how to set the payment plan up on Shopify and the best way to get it running so that it will work for you guys. So hopefully I will get that sorted and set up, and there will be a payment plan option as well as just being able to buy it up front. I'm also going to be offering it as either a 10 gram or a 20 gram option, because I know that a lot of you, want the kind of less waste option. So with the 10 gram mini, you're obviously going to have less leftovers, but other people like to have a bigger project and also like to be able to have a few leftovers to put into blankets and stuff like that. So the choice will be there. You'll either be able to choose from 10 grams or 20 grams. Yeah, that's the plan, I think. And as I said, that's going live on the 1st of June. I'm quite excited about it. I really want to start getting into the kind of exploration and the history and finding it all out and choosing all the colourways and designing all the colours. Yeah, I'm really feeling quite inspired by it this year. Anyway, I think that's everything for this week. So I will hopefully be back again next week with another little episode, and hopefully I will have finished those sock nest socks, and I will have made a bit more progress on my Vertices Unite and a bit more progress on my blanket. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please give the video a thumbs up. Dodgy, cheesy thumbs up action there. If you haven't subscribed yet, then hit subscribe, please. That would be fantastic. Yeah, and that is everything for this week. I will see you all again very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.